Hi everyone, today we're going to be continuing our series here, the 2024 primaries, but just before we get started, let's take a look at the delegate counts for each of these different candidates. Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren has 737 delegates and is in second. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in third place with 697 delegates. In fourth place is Mayor Pete Buttigieg with 139 delegates. In fifth place is Senator Amy Klobuchar with 94 delegates. In first place is Senator Kamala Harris with 934 delegates. And in sixth place is Andrew Cuomo with 6 delegates. So let's take a look at what each of these candidates can do. But just before we get started, we have some breaking news, and this is a major update here from the campaign of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We can say she has decided to drop out of the race, and she has now decided to endorse Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. So she has announced this in a joint agreement with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. They have now both endorsed Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. It's worth noting that there seems to be some sort of deal made between the two campaigns, that if Ocasio-Cortez would come out, especially considering the remaining terrain, aside from the following 3 states in Oregon, Arizona and New Mexico, where these are the only 3 states where the Ocasio-Cortez campaign can see that they're able to win in. The rest of them are either a lot of Warren states here in the Midwest, and some more Warren, and a lot of Harris states as well here. So what they've decided to do is Ocasio-Cortez has exited the race and has announced with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders to endorse the Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. So if this does go to a second ballot, what we've actually done is we've added up Ocasio-Cortez's support and Warren's support, which would come to 1,434. And then assuming all these moderate candidates here endorse Kamala Harris, that total comes to 1,173 at this point. So the progressives with 1,434, moderates with 1,173. It's worth noting that you've got the 2 heavyweights here in Democratic Party politics. Obviously Biden is the sort of bigger heavyweight. He has thrown his entire support behind Harris, and then the Sanders wing of the party, the progressives and Sanders himself, has thrown everything behind Warren. So you have a really big intra-party clash here. Bernie Biden in 2020, this is the 2.0. You've got Warren on one side, Harris on the other, and we believe this will be a very long and grueling primary season, quite similar to the one Obama and Clinton went through in 2008. So you've got Warren with the progressives, Harris with the centrists. Warren has not convinced all Bernie supporters to vote for her due to the Warren-Sanders incident in 2020, but which is still fresh in some voters' minds. But Sanders has decided to endorse Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren. Okay, let's get into the video. So on March 22nd, we'll be going right up until, I believe, May 7th, and then we'll leave the rest for the next video, including Super Tuesday 5 there. But on March 26th, we have Alaska, Hawaii, and Washington. Sorry, I believe Washington has already voted. Yes, sorry, that was from 2020. So we've got Alaska and Hawaii here, and both of these states voted heavily for Bernie in 2016. After Bernie dropped out, I believe they voted for Biden. So you could say it's quite a progressive situation in Alaska, for example. So here we've just got Warren and Harris earning delegates. I'm going to say 2/3 to 1/3 going for Warren in the state of Alaska. In the state of Hawaii, Again, I think Warren could do quite well, but I wouldn't count out Harris either. In fact, I'm actually going to change Alaska to be slightly more competitive. They're 60-40, given she is from California. Same thing in Hawaii. This is going to be another situation, 62 to 37. Actually, we're going to actually make that 58 to 41 actually. Not right now, sorry. We're going to make that 58 to 31 to 41, given that obviously Obama, born in Hawaii, there's going to be some affection for the Obama administration, and if Harris is painting herself as Obama 3.0, then I think she could get some love in Hawaii. Moving on to the state of Wisconsin. This is the next state here. Wisconsin, I believe, is that a Clinton or a Sanders state? I believe, based on the fact that there is an open primary, it probably was a Sanders state in 2016. So we're going to give this one, and I think Warren will do well in a state like Wisconsin with people like Tammy Baldwin coming round. I think she could get up to about 63, maybe something like 60% of the vote, given the Obama endorsement, sorry, the Biden endorsement for Harris. You could see it going something like that. Let's take an updated look at our delegate count. 811 for Senator Warren, 983 for Senator Harris. Warren has now won Alaska, Hawaii, and Wisconsin most recently. Moving on to the next state, the state of Wyoming. Yes, so the green is Senator Sanders' territory, and then the yellow is Hillary Clinton. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, so the last 7 contests, Bernie won. That was one of the big sort of talking points there from the Bernie campaign. But in the state of New York, moving on to the state of New York, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Sorry about that. In the state of New York, so you've got Warren on one side, Harris on the other. I think this is going to come right down to the wires. So Warren obviously very close. I think Warren with the Bernie endorsement could do very well. I'm gonna say this is gonna be really close, but right now we're gonna say this is 48.9% for Warren and then 51% for Harris. So Harris barely squeaking that out in New York, the state of New York. Sorry, I just had someone come in and it's quite distracting, but so Harris squeaking out a victory in the state of New York. Mind you, I mean, even with the governor endorsing Harris, you could stay in Ocasio-Cortez endorsing Warren. I mean, this is going to be very close. So I'm just going to say right now 51-49 in favor of Harris in New York, but I think it's going to be extremely close in a state like New York. Moving on to Acela Tuesday, we have Connecticut, Delaware, Maryland, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. So let's go ahead and take a look at the state of Maryland first. So all of these states, I think these are states that are going to be close. So Warren's going to do well in, I think, a lot of these states just because she's from nearby. She's got endorsements from the Northeast. I think Harris could position herself as a moderate, as the Biden alternative. Like in a state like Delaware, for example, Harris is probably going to win, given Biden's endorsement. So let's just start off with that. We're going to give 57-42 in favor of Harris in the state of Delaware. Moving on to the state of Maryland. We're going to give this one very, very narrowly over to Senator Harris, just because I think she will have a bit of that establishment support in the state of Maryland. And now we can officially say Warren has crossed the 1,000 mark, 1,001 delegates now to Harris's 1,184. So this is going to be, really tight right up until the end if it is a Harris-Warren matchup with these candidates already dropping out. Moving on to the next state here, the state of New Jersey. Right now, this is a very establishment state, so we can see Harris doing quite well here, possibly getting about 58% of the support to Warren's 41, something like that. I think Warren will get a bit of support just because, she's the progressive Massachusetts senator and they're going to do well in New Jersey. But in the state of Rhode Island, this is the next state we'll be taking a look at. Excuse me. In Rhode Island, I think Warren's going to win Rhode Island. I mean, it went to Bernie in 2016. Even with the vice president's support, I think that's equally cancelled out by AOC and Bernie's support of Warren. So it's going to be tight here, but Rhode Island's going to go to Warren. Same thing in Connecticut by a slightly smaller margin, maybe a 55-45 in the state of Connecticut. Okay, now we've passed Acela Tuesday. Oh no, sorry, we haven't. We need to do the state of Pennsylvania. So this one's going to be another big delegate haul. Both candidates will be eyeing 186 delegates right now. So again, this one's going to be close, but I think Warren with her Midwestern appeal could do well. I think it'll get her in excess of 47% of the vote or so, but I think Harris, just with that likely Biden endorsement, could get about 51% of the vote. But it's worth noting with these, in New York, for example, some would say, Harris, with this massive win here, Harris is going to do very well. But the fact of the matter is, as Biden loves to say, fact of the matter is that here the margin is just 6 delegates, so it won't really impact the delegate math. But whereas in a state like California, for example, if you, or let's say Texas, right, AOC won by quite a, oh no, she didn't, sorry, she won by 3 delegates. But when you look at states that, candidates can win by larger margins, then that'll give you more delegate. If you win by 2%, you're not really gaining much delegates compared to if the person loses by 2%, other than positive media attention. So that's PA, and then the next state we'll be taking a look at here, Indiana, Guam, Nebraska we've already done, West Virginia right now. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. The state of Indiana, this is a state, and actually I think I'm probably going to move the state of Illinois. Oh no, sorry, I won't. Harris probably get about 45% of that vote. But Indiana, this is a state I think Warren could win, sort of progressive Democratic state. Obviously not by much. You could see maybe a 54% for Warren and 45 for Harris, so pretty good win there for Warren. And this is the thing about Warren, she needs to rack up some delegates, and she needs to start winning a bit bigger if she's going to win on this first ballot, because right now she's net 200, slightly under net 200 delegates in terms of the nomination. Moving on to the not the state of Guam, but the territory of Guam. I don't really know that much about Guam, so Hillary Clinton won the territory of Guam. We're going to say Kamala Harris maybe 57 to Warren's 42, something like that's probably the most reasonable in the territory of Guam. Moving on to West Virginia. Let's take a look at that. And here we're going to give this one over to Senator Warren, so maybe 60-40. I don't think the West Virginians are going to really like Biden in that state. But if you take a look at the remaining areas here, a lot of them are out west, and that's an area where I think Warren probably going to do better than Harris. They're out of the South, now they're coming into the West. So I think, this is still anyone's game here for this nomination. Moving on, Kentucky, Oregon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So some of these actually we've already done. 10 I think can wait for the next video. So next video we'll be continuing here with Kentucky, Oregon, Washington, the state of Washington, which I believe we've already done actually, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, California, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, North Dakota, South Dakota, and the District of Columbia. So this is going to be a hotly contested race. It's still anyone's game in 2024. Still over 1,000 delegates are still up for grabs here, including super delegates, which are going to be very interesting to take a look at if no candidate reaches a majority on the first ballot. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Good night.